AskReddit by Macklance. What is the most overrated movie of all time? Someone mentioned Star Wars, but it totally depends on the context. I was 10 when it came out in 1977, and it was completely life-changing for us. It's all we could talk about or think about. The constant copying, emulating, and oversaturation over the last 45 years has made the theme commonplace and cliché for new viewers. Yes, give credit where credit is due. Star Wars was such a departure from filmmaking of the day that we were all stunned and impressed. Someone on Reddit once said, "What's the big deal with the Beatles? I can't do anything they did." Yes, you probably can, but they led the way, you're just a follower. Debbie Does Dallas. You get one lousy scene with Bambi Woods. The guy doing her is a total creeper. And, we don't even know if poor Debbie raises enough $sign to actually go to Dallas. Film was a total letdown. Oh my god, yes, for sure, this is the most overrated classic porn. Rochelle. A young girl's strange, erotic journey from Milan to Minsk. I've never seen that one. How bad is it? As a kid I remember we had the chance but saw sack lunch instead. The English Patient. It insists upon itself. Well, why didn't you say so in the first place? You're fired. Crash. I saw this because critics were saying it was the best movie of the decade. It even won some awards. It was okay but certainly nothing near the hype. Brokeback Mountain was robbed so bad. Avatar. Avatar is a weird movie. It was massive when it released. I watched it in a packed cinema the week it came out and it was a great experience. The movie itself was quite average, but it was a beautiful film, and watching on a big screen, with great sound in a great atmosphere was fun. That being said, I thought that the general opinion of the movie was just that. It was pretty but not a masterpiece by any sense of the imagination. When Avatar 2 came out I saw loads of people talking about how the first was their favorite movie and it took me off guard. I genuinely hadn't seen anyone talk about Avatar being their favorite movie until the second one came out. Frozen. It's been 10 years. When will it end? Deleted. Pretty much every Marvel movie. Where I'm at with Marvel is there are definite duds in the franchise and even moments within the solid movies that can fall flat, but holistically looking at the entire project which ultimately led up to execution as Infinity War Endgame, I remain very impressed to this day. We have definitely gone past the point of diminishing returns at this point though, and the hype feels much more forced rather than organic, which I'm sure a lot of people felt during the first 3 phases as well. But from such an ambitious filmmaking and storytelling perspective I can easily overlook the marketing glut. I'm feeling bad for James Cameron in this thread. I'm sure James Cameron is just weeping into his piles of money, shouting out to God with a shaken fist, asking why Reddit hates his rendition of Ferngully so much, lol. Black Panther. SOO, much hype and love at the time. Super meh movie. Avatar is legit just Pocahontas in space. Or Ferngully in space. The Shape of Water. I watched this with my mom and husband, and all 3 of us were baffled as to why it got praise in any capacity beyond it looking nice. It was such a dumb movie. Out of Africa. 7 hours of pure tedium. It was 160 minutes that felt like 7 hours. Like how breakfast at Tiffany's feels like 3 hours of tedium when it's only 90 minutes of tedium. The Irishman. Long, boring, didn't care, horrible CGI, and somehow it's all people could talk about. Finally someone who agrees with me. Got into a huge argument with my ex and her dad. Said it was boring. Part of why we broke up. A lot of people who like Fight Club don't actually get it. Breaking the first 2 rules, I see. Scarface. Not bad at all. Good film from the time period and definitely has some iconic imagery and lines. But if you were around when MTV Cribs was airing, every artist intentionally drew attention to their copy of the DVD in almost every episode. So many people had posters of the film and Tony Montana was viewed as some sort of deity in the early zeros. So many great films from that time, and this was always propped up as one of the greatest cultural pieces from the era. Just don't get it. Black Panther. Decent enough superhero movie, but was and still is way overhyped. Upon release people were calling it one of the greatest films of all time, which is absurd. Gravity Woman floats in space for a while, crashes, nothing happens. Avatar plot is incredibly generic, it's just the fancy effects that got everyone. The Notebook. Not a big chick flick fan, but I thought The Notebook was pretty solid. Loved the styling and the story scenery. La La Land. Disagree, but I feel most people either loved it or hated it, with few in between. I thought it was amazing. The cinematography, use of color, visual storytelling, score, and acting had me hooked. Frozen. Fast and Furious, the whole franchise. Overrated equals popular. I'll take the heat. Barbie. I was disappointed. Did a pretty good job making the point that hypermasculinity and femininity is not great for society, but went a little too surrealism in delivering that message. Sorts by controversial.